Hello and good evening to you. Welcome to News 360 and it's live from our news hub here at Desawe in Kanda. My name is Alfred Okanse.
And I'm Natalie Forth. Let's take a look at the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
2 families rendered homeless following heavy flooding in Community 18, Cambodia, near Tema.
First Deputy Speaker of Parliament tasked 3 committees to investigate detention of some children on the Volta Lake by a non-governmental organization.
And President Akufo-Addo leaves Accra to attend meetings of UN's advocacy group of eminent personalities on sustainable development goals.
And in business this evening, government urged to assist farmers with new tomato hybrid variety to help boost production.
And on the international front, Qatar calls for diplomatic resolution to crisis between her and other. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching News 360. As we go through this bulletin, remember we are streaming live on 3news.com as well as News on TV3 on Facebook. In our very first story this evening, President Akufo-Addo has left Ghana to attend meetings of the United Nations Advocacy Group of eminent personalities on the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals in his capacity as co-chairperson of the group. The meetings are taking place in Belgium and the United States of America. The president is also set to attend the G20 Partnership for Africa Summit in Germany. President Akufo-Addo will meet Norwegian Prime Minister Her Excellency Erna Solberg, his co-chair of the UN SDGs Advocacy Group of eminent personalities, in Brussels. The president will also hold separate meetings with the Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel and President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker. A release signed by the Director of Communications at the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, indicated the President will deliver an address at the opening of the 2017 European Development Days, EDD, Europe's leading forum on international cooperation and development. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will also participate and address the UN Oceans Conference, the high-level UN conference being held in New York to support the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals 14 to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas and marine resources for sustainable development. The president will also have his first formal meeting with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. President Akufo-Addo will pay a courtesy call on the German Chancellor Angela Merkel in Germany and participate in the G20 Africa Partnership Summit that's being held in Berlin to deliberate on Germany's Marshall Plan for Africa, an invitation of the German Chancellor. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will then pay a 2-day private visit to the United Kingdom and return to Ghana on Saturday, June 17. The president will be accompanied by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Shirley Ayoko Botchwey, and officials of the Presidency and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
From the presidency, we're told that 30 juvenile offenders across the country are taking part in this year's Basic Education Certificate Examinations, BEC. Inmates at the Senior Correctional Center in Accra saying they're ready to forget their past and turn their lives around through education. Portia Gabo has the rest of the story.
It's a Tuesday morning and 21 inmates of the Senior Correctional Center in Accra have gathered here at a BEC center in Jolu to write the exams. The Senior Correctional Center caters for young offenders and juveniles, providing them training for a period between 3 months and 3 years in various vocational trade, as well as tuition in the classroom. Ahead of the Integrated Science and Pre-Technical Skills paper, officials and their tutors at the institute help inmates to revise their notes to enable them prepare adequately for the papers. It's now time to write the integrated science paper.
And how did you find the paper?
I find it so nice because it's what they have taught me. They have come, so I try my best to do it. And I hope by the grace of God, I'll be able to remove a good grade.
What led you to the institute?
Defilement.
And how has your life changed after being over there?
Through education, there are teachers, many things, and they have been counseling us there, so it has also changed my attitude.
What do you want to be in future?
Please, I want to become a medical doctor.
What school did you choose?
St. Aquinas.
What led you to the institute?
Okay, I had a misunderstanding with my father, so he decided to bring me to the institute to change.
How was the paper?
And it was good, it was nice. It wasn't everything that I learned that came, but I know I'm going to pass. This is my second time writing BEC. The last BEC I wrote in Nigeria, I found it very difficult, but because during that time I don't learn. So when I came here, my officers and they've been treating me well and they've been encouraging me, so I started learning and I'm catching up now.
Dozens of inmates of juvenile correctional centers across the country have successfully passed the BEC exams, with some placed in reputable senior high schools.
We started giving them tuition from day one. We hope and pray that they'll pass and fly in colors. And when they get out there, don't forget they don't have a record following them because they are minors. And if they get out and they can continue to the university, why not? We could have a president out of that, lawyers, broadcast journalists like you out of these youngsters.
Juvenile offenders are appealing to the public not to shun them to remind them of their past, but rather aid them to reintegrate them into society.
Inmates of the Senior Correctional Center here in Accra have vowed to do all it takes to succeed in life. They are currently participating in this year's BECE, and they tell me they are ready to put the past behind them and focus on the future. Reporting for TV3 News, Portia Gabo.
Portia Gabo's reports there. Now, some might feel that looking at the conditions that these juvenile prisoners have to endure, they might find it difficult taking part in and excelling in the BEC examinations. Well, here on the screen behind me shows the performance of juvenile prison candidates in the year 2016 from the Eastern region. 3 registered and 2 passed. Now, specifically the Nsawam male and female centers, that's in the Eastern region, where out of this number of 50 juvenile JHS pupils, there were 3 registrations and 46 being male, whilst 4 of them were female. In the Ashanti region, 7 pupils registered, while 7 of them passed. And that's in the Ashanti region, specifically the Kumasi male and female centers. Once again, out of them, there were 2 male and 45 females. So in this case, we saw a lot more females participating. But there were only 5 females who actually took part in the exam and 2 males, all of them coming out with a pass. And in the central region, 2 registered, whilst 2 passed. And this is also, it's particularly interesting, though, the fact that more male candidates take part in the BEC examinations as compared to female candidates. However, across all the centers, the candidates that wrote all come out with passes, showing the great potential that in fact lies in these juvenile prisons. Alfred.
It's very good news. I mean, as we speak at the moment, that these junior offenders have actually been able to pass all their exams, at least with the reviews of the past 3 years that you have put out there, Natalie. Let's go on to Skype now. And Dr. Prince Amma is Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies. Now, Doc, thank you. Good evening to you. Now, with what we see, there's a consistent pass by these juvenile offenders. What exactly does this tell you from the analysis where you sit?
Thank you very much and good evening, Alfred. I'm not too sure what constitutes pass, and I think that it's very important that we do understand what the grades are and to be able to conclusively say that they have done well or they haven't done well. If you look at the BEC examination on the qualifying grades, you must get 6 subjects between 6 to in 6 subjects between 6 and 42. That's the qualifying grades that we have now. Previously, we had 6 to 36. That's 6 in every subject, at least minimum of 6 in every subject for 6 subjects. So that would have amounted to 36. And so if we're looking at the qualifying grades now, which is what people wrongly interpret as pass, then we will say that they would have gotten grade 6 to 42, which we are not too sure which of the categories they fall in.
No, so you are talking about the bracket of what the definition of pass really means. But then again, how is that relevant to the analysis, to the extent that, I mean, if they have passed, it means they are progressing to the next stage of education. And you are one person, together with many, who have advocated that this BEC should even be scrapped so that we could have people just transit into SHS. Because if you look at the number of people, the pupils from the JHS to SHS, it drops about 50%, and that has been your worry. Is that why you raised this concern?
Yeah, I think that the issue I was trying to clarify is the fact that we are not too sure what the data tells. We know that 3 persons, for example, from those in Sahom, 3 males, got the qualifying grades. And that's why we call the qualifying grades to senior high school. We are not too sure what exactly these grades are. Did they get 6 in 6 subjects, or one in 6 subjects, grade 6? Or did they get 5 to interrogate? Otherwise, it's good news to say that they have got the qualifying grade to enter to senior high school.
Okay, but beyond this, I mean, the highest number of years they can stay in these juvenile correction centers is about 3 years. How do we integrate them into mainstream now that they've passed and they are going on to senior high school?
Well, if there are facilities available for senior high school education, then of course they would have to assess that opportunity. But if we don't have that, then there has to be a system. There has to be access to secondary education, and to the largest extent, once they leave, where they finish their sentencing, they would have to join us in society again, and providing them with access to good quality secondary education puts them on the higher pedestal in terms of developing their intellectual capacity and being successful and effective in life.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Prince Amma. He is Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies, with some analysis on this good grades being posted by these juvenile offenders across the country.
News 360 Skype interview is brought to you by MTN. Everywhere you go.
Still on the BECE, despite being visually impaired, 17-year-old Emanuela Osabute will not let her disability hinder her from being successful in life. She's currently partaking this year's BECE together with 25 other students with visual impairment at the Ekropong School for the Blind. Irina Mesimeku has the rest of the story.
The chatter and noise emanating from the braille machines and stylus pens says it all at a special kind of exams for special students with visual impairments at the Okuapiman Senior High School. In the midst of 26 visually impaired students writing this year's BECE is 17-year-old Emanuela Osabute, a student of the Ekropong School for the Blind. She tells me she does not revise her notes prior to a paper because doing so stresses her. Emanuela does not rely on the braille to read her questions as she suffers from low vision. This means if texts are large, she could read a questioned paper by bringing it closer to her eyes. She has just finished writing the integrated science paper.
It was quite okay. The questions were too bulky, but we were able to do it. We did a massive learning. We were mining here and there, but with God, everything is possible.
Although she has a second paper at 1, Emanuela would rather relax and hang out with her friends. Prior to joining the Kropon School for the Blind, she was enrolled at the Services Primary and Junior High School in Accra for her primary education. The environment at Services was not suited for Emanuela as she was confronted with a lot of discouragements.
No one should discourage a visually impaired person. Don't say that because this person is visually impaired, so I don't like this, I prefer this. When you do that, you kill the person's spirit, so that at least we'll feel that we are part of the society.
She has plans of furthering her education at the Okuapiman Senior High School.
General Act, because I like to become a journalist, because I like talking a lot and I like reading too. So I think being a journalist will do for me.
The Okuapiman Senior High School, which is just a few kilometers away from the Kropon School for the Blind, is one of the few schools in the country which practices inclusive education. Emanuela is confident she would sail through her BEC examinations to further her education to achieve her dream.
So we welcome Emanuela Osabote with open arms into journalism. Wish her all the best on this one as we go. But away from this, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection says all efforts are being made to settle all school feeding arrears owed caterers across the country. The ministry said all payments will be made before the contracts of caterers expire by the end of July this year.
Although government inherited arrears of 114 million cedis covering 75 cooking days, the Gender Ministry says it will do its best to settle all arrears before all contract expires by the end of July this year.
Government showed commitment by paying them some money earlier this year. So whatever monies are owed them would be paid. That one I can assure you.
The ministry noted plans are far advanced to broaden and extend the program to more schools.
We have plans to add more schools nationwide. Anybody who wants to become a caterer can apply and come, including those who are also working.
In a related development, the Gender Ministry has donated assorted items to the Chief Imam and the Muslim staff of the Gender Ministry. Sector Minister Otiko Afisa Jaba, presenting the items, called on the Muslim community to use the occasion to pray for peace and special prayers be said for the late Major Muhammad's family.
Ghana must never forget the sacrifice that he has made on our behalf. But we must pray for forgiveness of those who committed this heinous crime, and that never again in the history of this country should anybody be treated in such a manner.
School feeding program activities at some basic schools in Accra are halted as a result of the ongoing Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE. Meanwhile, caterers are ready to commence work as soon as the examination is over.
Media report that caterers under the school feeding program have stopped cooking for the children. A visit to some schools in the capital revealed otherwise. School children were absent because the schools served as centers for the BECE. In an interview with TV3, some caterers said they would resume cooking when the children returned to school.
But for now, we have about 1 week to break down. We are preparing for Monday. We will start on Monday.
The school feeding program was implemented in 2005 as a means to encourage retention of pupils, increase school enrollment, as well as alleviating poverty and providing sufficient nutrition for school children. But there have been delays in payment of grants to caterers, which has been a major setback to the program, despite adoption of new mode of payment.
Flood waters are yet to recede from 20 homes in Community 18 in Cambodia after Monday's downpour. 10 families have been rendered homeless after a private developer allegedly blocked a water course in the area. Josephine Frimpong has the rest of the story.
The rain are here again, exposing poor drainage and buildings sited in flood-prone areas and waterways. More than 20 homes here at Komti 8 in Cambodia. Water has still flooded their homes. Some are at the lintel level, some at the window level, some had to scale the wall, others had to wade through the water. I need to descend through this ladder before I go through the water and speak to the family. They have not had a good sleep since 2 a.m. So we'll be speaking to the owner of this house to tell us exactly what happened here Monday dawn.
We've been awake trying to save our lives and some of our properties.
Elikem had to skip school today because of the situation. Unlike this family, several people in the neighborhood had to be rescued by NADMO and the police.
This place used to be a river. 2 years ago, somebody decided to come and fill it up and use the place for a shopping mall. So he filled the water all the way beyond that container. And since then, anytime it rains, this place gets flooded. So last night or this dawn, it started raining. And by 5 o'clock, more than 40 houses here got flooded. For me and my daughter, the police had to rescue us from my building.
Those who stayed in their homes were seen scooping water from their rooms.
We are going to stop whoever, whether what kind of document he has, because you cannot build in the river place. These are the problems. It happens and people die just like that.
All the walls he has put here to block the water, we are going to pull it down and make sure the residents of this area have some peace. We can't continue with this. This is illegality and it is indiscipline.
Flood-prone areas dotted in the Tema metropolis include Community 17, 18, 5, 2, Bong and parts of Ashaiman. Two residents reported that they had electrical shock during the downpour. According to them, this is the second time that this has happened to people who live here. But for how long can they continue to endure flooding in these areas? Josephine Frimpong, TV3 News, Komti 18, Cambodia.
Still in the Tema West constituency, a new bridge under construction at Klagon was destroyed by the floodwaters. The situation also caused heavy traffic jam for close to 5 hours on the Lashibi-Klagon stretch.
Lashibi-Klagon Sakumono stretch connects people from Sakumono to Ashaiman. The critical link, which was awarded on contract for rehabilitation for years, work only began 2 years ago. The downpour caused serious damage to the property. Pillars were washed ashore, whilst earth-moving equipment were also floating. Pools of rainwater on the road caused traffic that was difficult to control.
Sena road netino. I was say attention was so serious, and upon the very, very dangerous. If you try, you lose your life.
Owing to the closure of the road used by these cattle, together with the herdsman, they took over the road.
So this is Accra.
Yeah, we wouldn't want flooding every time there's a rainfall, would we?
This is indiscipline. Anyway, but we'll be back shortly with some more stories. Don't go away.
Well, thanks for staying with us. It's still News 360, but time for business. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa. Government has been urged to assist farmers with a new tomato hybrid variety to help boost production in the country. Senior research scientist and head of horticulture of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Kwesi Ofebonsu, insists those farmers will create more jobs to boost trade and address problems associated with tomato cultivation.
Is one vegetable which is consumed on a daily basis in Ghana. Its consumption outweighs its production, making Ghana a net importer of tomato, as the country consumes in excess of 100,000 metric tons annually. However, the production of tomatoes is faced with several challenges, including storage facilities and poor road network. India's National Research Development Corporation has jointly implemented a project with the Soil Research Institute of the CSIR. The project seeks to conduct applied research into the agroclimate regions with a view of evolving effective cultivation techniques and measures to achieve higher yield of good quality tomato under local conditions. Speaking at the end of the Ghana-Indian pilot research project on tomato production technologies, senior research scientist and head of horticulture at CSIR, Kwesi Ofebonsu, said government involvement is critical in tomato production.
Usually what we were getting in Ghana here by using the same EVA and our polyhouse system, yield was ranging between 25 tons per hectare to at most 80 tons per hectare. But under the new polyhouse system that came from India, we are getting yields about 106 tons per hectare.
Chairman and Managing Director of the National Research Development Directorate called on government to support farmers in tomato production to create more jobs.
The government of Ghana has to provide the required infrastructure support, the policy support, if required, some incentives to farmers so that the new technology can be transferred or implemented by the farmers, because this is involves implementation of greenhouses.
On banking, the Managing Director of First Bank Financial Services, Amenyo Setoji, has appealed to pension scheme trustees and fund managers to invest strategically in its money market mutual fund, First Fund. Now, this follows the fund's outperforming the benchmark of 91-day Treasury bill rates, closing the year with an annualized yield of 36.27%.
First Fund posted a remarkable performance in 2016, topping the charts of money markets mutual funds in Ghana. The fund closed the year with an annualized yield of 36.27%, ahead of the benchmark 91-day Treasury bill, which averaged 21.88% by close of 2016. This performance, according to the board chairman of the fund, Professor Cletus Dodonu, is an indication the fund will maintain its position as the best performing money markets mutual fund in coming years.
We are growing faster than, in fact, I don't know of any fund which is growing faster than us, at least from the sample I looked at and then looking at the trends.
Assets under management grew by over 70% from 44.45 million cedis at the end of December 2015 to 75.81 million cedis by the end of December 2016. The Managing Director of First Bank Financial Services, Amenyo Setoji, said this was an account of an impressive return on investment by the fund's portfolio and incessant contributions by both existing and new clients.
2017 is another year that we believe strongly we are going to be the topmost, the best performing mutual fund. It has been our trend, it has been the record of First Fund that we are always the best and will continue being the best.
The mutual fund also saw the number of its shareholders increased by 21% to 14,000 by the end of the year.
Looking at the way interest rates are trending down, there may be a slight dip, but we will always outperform our benchmark as we have always said that we will do.
First Fund manager Alex Owusu-Achampong said the fund is poised to benefit from favorable market conditions while guarding against rough conditions.
We are not just investing in Treasury bills, but we are looking at other investment vehicles which yield better as compared to Treasury bills.
As a result of its growing base, First Fund have included GT Bank, UBA, Access Bank and UMB as receiving banks for their investment payment.
And in a related development, board chairman of Heritage Fund, an equity mutual fund operated by First Bank Financial Services, Professor John Bright Ahito, is optimistic this year will bring better returns to investors of the fund. Speaking at the annual general meeting of the fund, he said the fund has been resilient and has managed to do better than the market in general.
Heritage Fund posted a return of negative 0.40% for the year 2016, which was much higher than the negative 15.33% posted by the stock market as a whole. In the year under review, financial, insurance and petroleum stocks posted negative returns, whilst food and beverages and the manufacturing sectors recorded positive returns. But the board chairman of the fund, Professor John Bright Aheto, is of the belief the years of poor returns is finally behind.
An investor now has a choice, a better choice, of determining investing in equities. The economy is going to grow, and as the economy grows, the shares will also appreciate in value. Much better return with the Heritage Fund, because the fixed income in Ghana especially is going to reduce, because the fixed income rates are very artificially too high.
The fund's price, however, fell by 0.40% from 0.4167 pesos at the beginning of the year to close the year at 0.4150 pesos. Assets under management grew marginally from 1.5 million cedis to 1,649,857 cedis, representing a growth rate of 6.52%.
No, last year was very bad. The previous year too wasn't too good. But this year looks like all the right conditions are in place, and we really expect the market to pick up. And it's done so already. From beginning of the year, 13.22 is not an easy gain, especially for our kind of market.
The managing director of First Bank Financial Services said management will continue to pursue a strategy of fine-tuning the portfolio for growth while paying attention to risk management.
We believe strongly this is a good time for the Heritage Fund because the stock market is doing well, the stocks are doing well, and we'll focus on good stock selection and do the right investment.
Well, we'll still stay on issues of banking because the Standard Chartered Bank has made significant progress in 2016 after 2 years of slow growth. Now, the bank at its 2016 annual general meeting indicated a profit before tax of 346 million cedis, representing 279% growth over the December 2016 figures.
Progress, according to the bank, was a direct result of the strategic actions taken to turn the business around after 2 years of slow growth.
2015 was a very difficult year for Standard Chartered Bank. The external environment was quite intense and was quite harsh. We were faced with a lot of headwinds. So we worked very closely with our clients to understand their operating cycle, to restructure. We also recovered a significant amount of the impaired loans. We continued to focus on strategic asset growth. We focused on ensuring that our balance sheet was robust, and we invested quite a bit in our digital platform.
Operating income increased by 17% to 621 million cedis from 531 million. Operating expenses decreased by 15% to 194 million cedis compared to 227 million cedis in the previous year. The bank recorded profit before tax of 346 million cedis, representing 279% growth compared to December 2015 of 91 million cedis. Earnings per share grew by 256% to 1 cedi 92 pesos from 0.54 pesos in 2015. Return to equity more than doubled to 34% from 12% in 2015. The board declared dividend on ordinary shares of 1 cedi 12 pesos compared to 0.37 pesos paid out last year. The bank says it will continue to invest in their staff and make clients their priority. Board chairman of the bank, Ishmael Yamson, was elated at the execution of great strategies putting the business back on a growth trajectory in line with trends that shareholders are used to. He further touched on issues on the minimum capital requirement from the Bank of Ghana.
Tomorrow, the Bank of Ghana says, raise your stated capital to 300 million. Are you able to do it? My answer would be, we have always had this under consideration. So We will not be taken by surprise if Bank of Ghana said tomorrow. We should have level playing field. But we didn't register to be discriminated against. So that's why I think the Bank of Ghana will be very careful how it manages the process.
You can log on to 3news.com for more news. My name is Nanikia Mensah Brampa. That's it for business. We have more coming up. Good evening.
Good evening. Let's do sports news now on News 360. Inevitably, in the week leading up to a major Nations Cup qualifying weekend, the bulletin will be dominated by issues from the Black Stars. But we start with a player who is away because Ghana international Kwadwo Asamoah has denied he has put in a transfer request at Italian giants Juventus. Several club outlets reported today that Asamoah has handed in a request to leave the Champions League finalists, but he told TV3 Sports those reports are untrue. Asamoah has a full year left on his Juventus contract and says he will see it out despite struggling to break into that first team since returning from injury. He was linked last season to Chelsea and West Ham, while other reports have suggested Turkish giants Galatasaray are keen on signing him. Vålerenga playing for Strømsgodset, Portland Timbers in Major League Soccer, and until today, Brøndby in Denmark. He had asked to be excused for family reasons from 3 upcoming internationals involving the Black Stars before completing that deal today. And still on Black Stars related news, midfielder Kingsley Safo will not play for the team in the upcoming games against Ethiopia, USA and Mexico as he ponders which country to commit his international future to. Ghana coach Kwesi Appiah had named him in the side for the 3 games this month amidst interest from Sweden. But now assistant coach Ibrahim Tanko says he has been excused. Tanko claims Safo has been given time and space to sort out his international future, hence the decision to leave him out. It seems a curious decision given that if Safo plays a part in the game against Ethiopia, then he effectively becomes a Ghana international. The midfielder played 11 times for his Sweden side, and the top flight scored 3 goals and had 3 assists in the process. And there have been a few familiar faces around the Black Stars as they prepare for that game against Ethiopia on Sunday. A technical team dominated by ex-internationals has given the Black Stars a unique Ghanaian flavor, and they are those determined to make it count on the field. Joabedo Champon has found out.
Throwback feeling about the Black Stars technical team these days. Kwesi Appiah, the boss and left back from the 80s and 90s, supervises the team that includes former teammates Richard Kinson, Stephen Appiah and Ibrahim Tanko. It has proved a hugely popular move. Ex-Black Stars players who know and understand the team dynamics in charge of the Black Stars. Take goalkeeper Richard Kinson as an example. He earned 90 caps for Ghana, played in 2 World Cups and 3 Nations Cups. These days, he is responsible for training the goalkeepers and is thrilled with the new role.
It gives me a lot of joy. It's something that is in me, and I always like to do, to train the young ones, to impact what I have experienced as a goalkeeper.
Ibrahim Tanko has nothing on Richard Kinson in terms of international caps. The former Dortmund star played only 9 times for Ghana, including at the 1996 Nations Cup. But he has climbed the coaching ladder pretty fast, working as an assistant coach in Germany, Japan, and with the Cameroonian national team. Now he hopes all that experience will prove vital as he assists Kwesi Appiah through his latest tenure.
In my experience, I learned a lot when I was away, and fortunately enough, I know the new coach very well, so I'll team up with him and bring the Ghana football back again.
There's a feeling that the experience in the backroom staff can lift the Black Stars to greater heights again. Kwesi Appiah will be hoping that is the case.
And still on our stories from the team, it is a rare story in an era when footballers are thought of as full professionals. But as the Black Stars prepare for that game on Sunday, they have in their midst a policeman who is living his dream as a footballer. Our Kumasi correspondent Benjamin Edu caught up with Samuel Safo of Liberty Professionals after training at the Baba Yara Stadium.
Ago, Samuel Safo was working regular duties as a policeman and protecting members of the Black Stars as they prepared for an international game. He took the opportunity for a picture, including this one with Emmanuel Ajiman-Bedu. This Sunday, Bedu will watch the Black Stars from home. Safo will be on that team bus, in the dressing room and possibly on the pitch, not in a police uniform on guard duties, but in the Black Stars shirts. Safo still combines his duties as a policeman with his football as captain of the Ghana Premier League side Liberty Professionals, and says the common denominator is that all is service to the nation.
Today I'm in a different attire, defending the nation. So I think my focus now is to see Ghana, to the next level. Not as in being a guardsman now or a man on duty, but using my feet to defend the flag of Ghana.
But Safo knows playing with the Black Stars is slightly different. He acknowledges he has had to pinch himself sometimes about the company he has been in this week, but is determined to make the most of it.
It's been great, meeting the likes of Asamoah Gyan and the rest. It's been spectacular. So we're hoping that at least come Sunday we will be able to deliver.
Welcome back. Now, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament has tasked some committees of Parliament to investigate and report back to the House in 2 weeks the raiding and detention of some children on the Volta Lake in the Afram Plains North by a non-governmental organization. The Member of Parliament for the area, Betty Ifwa Crosby, who told Parliament about the incident in a statement, says the children can still not be found after 1 month.
The Afram Plains North MP said in places such as Dija and Dwarf Islands, children are trained on how to swim and survive. She was, however, worried a non-governmental organization called International Justice Mission, in the company of a team of armed police officers, raided the waters surrounding the Dwarf Islands and took away families who were on the lake.
Mr. Speaker, for the past 1 month, these children, many of whom are in school, have been arrested and detained at places unknown to both parents and stakeholders in the constituency under the guise of rescuing them. What baffles us is why this raid was done when schools were on vacation. Schools have reopened now, and these children are expected back in school, but they are nowhere to be found.
She added some NGOs hide behind the child labor laws of the International Labour Organization to wrongfully take away children from their biological parents in order to secure funds from international organizations. Other MPs shared similar concerns.
I was here in the chamber when I had a call that a team made up of some marine police and some NGO were on the Volta Lake and arrested a number of children with their parents. I visited them, they were sent to Koforidua, so I went there. As I speak now, I still receive calls from some parents from my constituencies demanding to know the whereabouts of these kids.
It is important that we look at the NGO in question and see why they acted the way they do. Speaker, it is important for us to investigate this matter clearly and get to the root causes and the bottom of the case.
The two leaders of the House, in their contributions, suggested the Speaker refer the matter to the Gender, Labour and Employment and the Constitutional and Legal Committees to immediately investigate the incident. The Speaker subsequently referred it to the 3 committees of Parliament and directed that they report back to the House in 2 weeks.
We're back with some more stories here on News 360. Stay with us.
Welcome back to News 360. Time now for some entertainment news. Tekra Debate rapper Stephen Siao, aka Ayisem, has condemned the widespread use of illegal substance marijuana by today's youth. In his 2017 project, Koti talks about the youth's love for marijuana, its side effects and the need to stay away from drugs.
The song Koti talks about marijuana, its widespread use by the youth for pleasurable purposes, and the horrific effect that its abuse can have on them. The controversial tune also highlights some wrong perceptions people hold about marijuana usage. The lyrics, however, observed, aside being illegal, abusing it could have serious consequence for the youth.
I know too much of everything is bad, so if you abuse something, most definitely there's going to be a side effect. There's so many ways people use it, and I think if you use something and then you are not cool or you're not familiar with it, if the thing is not helping you, you stop it.
Personally, Ayisem, real name Stephen Xiao, admitted having an unpleasant experience with weed during his high school days.
And I behaved strangely.
The song, dedicated to fighting the abuse of marijuana, urged the youth to stay away from it.
We're embarking on this thing called Say No to Drug Abuse. So the main aim is that the youth out there, as an artist, I serve as the mouthpiece for the people out there, especially the youth. So I'm just using this opportunity to tell the youth out there to stay away from drug.
Ayisem won 3 awards at the 2017 Western Music Awards: the Best Rapper of the Year, High Life Artist of the Year, and Best Collaboration of the Year.
That's it for the news tonight. My name is Alfred Akansi.
And I'm Natalie Forth. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Next is Do Not Love Me So Much. Have a good evening.